this part is going to be based off how I feel right now. And yeah, so basically one day, Lady Tsunade is assembling all of Team 7, like Yamato, Kakashi, Sai, Sasuke, Naruto, Christian, Sakura. She's assigning them all. So, when she assigns them all, only one doesn't show up, Christian. Now, right now, in real life, I have an MF and splitting headache. I don't know why. Every time, it's probably because I've been staring at a screen all day. But, like, I do not feel so good, but I feel fine right now. So, basically, they're like, where is he? He's never late to a mission. He says, hey, Naruto, you go check on him. He says, alright. Naruto checks on the door, no one answers. Like, no one's answering at all. He runs back and says, no one answered. They say, what? No one answered? He always answers. Even he'll ask a shadow clone to. There's no way he overslept. He says, should we break in through the door and tell him to get out? They say, sure, let's do it. Sakura would punch down the door, and they'd be like, hey, where are you? It's about time for the mission. And they find him on his bed, basically knocked out. Probably for one thing. But then they realize, they say, hey. When Sakura tries to go for a little tiny snack, she's like, ow, his face is really hot. And then when one of the clan members say, oh, he can't go anywhere. They say, why? He's had a splitting headache all day. He can't go anywhere. He can't do nothing. He could barely even stand up because of how bad it is. They say, oh, well, alright. So her and Naruto would walk out of the house saying, geez, that's not like him. Saying, gee, that is nothing like him at all. They say, yeah, definitely. I've never seen something like that. She goes, so they report back to Lady Tsunade and they say, where is he? And he says, he can't come. She says, why? This is everyone needs to be here. He says, I'm sorry, Lady Tsunade, but he is sick. He cannot come. He says, maybe I can heal him. He says, it's a headache, not really like an illness. And yeah, I already tried healing him. She actually did. She says, I already tried healing him, and it didn't even work. She says, this is bad. We need all 6 of you for this mission. And we need his sensory abilities to actually do this mission. We're hunting down most of the Akatsuki, and we're leaving one left for Sasuke. And we're leaving Itachi to Sasuke because we're not going to interfere with someone's goals. He says, well then we'll do it without him. I'll get a medical ninja to, Tsunade says, I'll go get a medical ninja to heal him. And if that doesn't work, then I'll go and heal. Then, basically, they'd go on the mission. Naruto would say, Rasengan! Busting down the Akatsuki thing. And they'd be like, Rin style! Rasen Shuriken! Busting into the basing. And they would get absolutely wiped. Even with all their skills. Then they say, Lady Tsunade, it is not working. It is really not working. It's not healing him. He says, take him to the nearest hospital. I will do the healing. So basically, after that, once they get him to the hospital, they start to heal. Lady Tsunade starts healing. About 20 minutes later, she says, he's finally healed. He'll need like an hour to wake up. Hopefully they can survive long enough for him to arrive. Then, after 20 minutes, he says, what the heck's going on? They said, you've been knocked out for about 5 hours. He says, 5 hours? With what? You've had a split in, he says, oh yeah, I had a giant headache that I could not get over. He says, what could have been the cause of that? He says, whatever, I have to get back to my team. Saying, I do not want to let them down. I have to go quickly. They say, no, you cannot go yet. You have to stay at least 20 more minutes in to rest, because we know that this isn't going to end well for you. He says, I don't care if I'm sick. He says, we need you at full power if we want this to work. Not some scrawnerly weakling who doesn't even feel good at all. He says, okay, well, that's a little bit rude, but whatever. He's like, that's a little bit rude, but don't you think? And she goes, whatever. He goes, I can agree with that. Whatever. So after, it's like 30 minutes, Team 70's beaten down. Like, seriously, Christian says, I'm going. He says, alright, go. Save your teammates. He says, I was gonna do that, Tsunade, but you guys held me back from doing any of that crap. That is your problem. And then he goes, I have to get there. Ah! Sage mode! Running towards him. Running towards the battlefield, seeing his teammates and comrades basically beaten down. Saying, he sees basically Naruto dead, Sasuke almost dead, Sai almost dead, well he doesn't really care about Sai that much, but it's him almost dead, Sakura almost dead, Kakashi almost dead, and because of one single person. Pain. It's the deepest pain. And Sasuke's even weaker in this timeline, because he doesn't have Curse Mark. Usually I'd be making Sasuke stronger, but in this time, Naruto's way stronger. So basically, after that, after that, Krishna would say, going into his QB four-tailed state. Absolutely obliterating everyone. He's like, die! Absolutely obliterating everyone. Then he goes, but then he de-transforms and goes into his next state, the QB Sage mode, which is just the red eyes of Kurama mixed with Sage mode, which is the eyes turn red. He goes, disappears from Pain and slams his fist into Pain's face, saying, die! They're like, we've never seen him like this. He says, you never did. You never will. Just absolutely, it's a slaughter. You know, as that person said in the movie, it's a slaughter fest. Then Christian says, die! Ah! Killing through the entire Akatsuki. Except for Itachi. He doesn't really care about Itachi, because Itachi's not even there, actually. Itachi just dipped, he said. Itachi don't give a crap. All Itachi cares about is keeping the secret from Sasuke. So he doesn't know that he was actually a villager. Or some crap. Okay, yeah, I feel sorry for saying that. It's just someone with another tragic backstory. And yeah, basically, if I could make this any worse, after that, Christian would say, Shadow Clone Jutsu! Creating 300 Shadow Clones. They'd all throw smoke bombs. And then the rest of them would pick up the team and run them back, saying, Lady Tsunade, my teammates have been badly injured. They have done nothing. They are really weak. Honestly, I think they'd die soon if it didn't come down to this. If it didn't come down to this, I'm pretty sure they'd be dead meat. Choji walk into the room and say, meat? And he says, not that kind of meat, you idiot. The other kind. And saying, no. So then he takes them back and says, alright guys, it's okay, I'm coming. So then when he takes them all back, he says, hopefully they stay alive till then. He says, oh no, this is terrible. They're gonna die. And then he says, alright, please, Lady Tsunade, heal them as much as you can. She says, clone jutsu! She says, he says, do the shadow clone jutsu, then you, wait. I just realized, why don't any of the medics ever use the shadow clones? Like, that's just common sense. Like, clone yourself if you can. If there ain't enough of you, clone yourself. I mean, I'm pretty sure Naruto learned that the hard way. Well, not the hard way, the good way. Naruto's actually smart for that. Naruto played bingo with himself. I'm pretty sure. No, he was playing, like, Uno or something. I don't know what he was playing. I don't know what Naruto plays these days. It's Naruto. What do you expect? It's the #1 knucklehead ninja. Who knows what he plays? He probably plays poker or something. No one knows what that man does, or that kid does. Ah, Jesus Christ. Oh, sorry for that. Sorry for my profanity. No, that is just not nice. Basically, he'd say, and then he'd just be... So he'd run around the village saying, does anyone know how to teach a clone jutsu? Because I sure as hell don't. So then he just runs and says, just absolutely wrecking. Saying, ah, shoot. He'd be walking around the Leaf Village. But then he says, Kagurashi? Saying, Lady Tsunade, can you teach me how to use it? They say, sure. She teaches him how to use medical ninjutsu, and he heals up everyone, giving them so much chakra pumping into them that they wake up immediately like, he's like, what happened? He said, I came back and smoke bombed them. There's no way we can defeat them now. You guys have a lot to learn. They say, dang right we do, he says. They say, hands together, and they say, Team 7. He says, I have an idea, guys. Let's do the most intense, and I mean intense training. After we defeat all the Akatsuki, we will go sicko mode and train for hours and days until we finally become masters of all of our jutsus. And he says, so, Naruto, you want to go eat some ramen? He says, sure. And Sakura, who's perfectly fine, actually, did nothing because, well, she didn't actually go on the mission. She stood back healing people at the hospital, being a little nurse, saying, you idiot, you can't go anywhere, punching him in the face. Then say, and you, why are you asking him to go where someone you clearly said he can't go? Slapping, saying, ow, geez, that actually kind of hurt. Well, that's the solidest punch that's the solidest slap you've ever landed. And a vein pops up and he's like, shoot. He's like Boruto when he ripped off Himawari's head. He's like, well, now I've really done it. And he gets punched through the roof. He's like, and I'm fine. See, I don't really like to make satisfaction, but he does it flying and starts yelling, ow, Jesus. He's like, alright, well, she's got monstrous strength, so I don't think I should do that anymore. Because now my face hurts. 10-fold. So I'm gonna get another headache from her yelling. Then he jumps up in the air and says, whatever. Saying, well, I'm gonna go get some ramen. He says, yo, Teuchi. He says, oh, a new customer. He says, wait, because Christian's actually never been to Ichiraku. He's always eaten something else. He says, but he actually doesn't go yet. He says, hey, Naruto, want to know something that you'll definitely get mad at? He says, what? He says, I've never in my life been to Ichiraku. He goes, what? Well, then I'll have to take you there. He goes, damn it, I thought I'd get you triggered. He says, whatever, so I guess we can go later? All 5 of us? All 7 of us, actually, like 6 of us? Hold on. Christian, Yamato, Sai, Kakashi, Sasuke, Naruto, Kakashi. I'm pretty sure I already said Kakashi. Hold on. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi, Yamato, Sai, and Christian. Yeah, that's 7. The 7 of them will go to Ichiraku and eat up. They'll be like, yeah, and they say, celebrating on Christian's first ever being in Ichiraku. He says, I was lying. I've been to Ichiraku 20 times. He's like, they're like, what? And he says, kidding, I've actually never been here. So, I'm gonna test it. He says, tastes a little bland. Teiichi says, how dare you insult my ramen? And he says, could use some ingredients. Hey, Teiichi, you got salt? He goes, sure. Gives him salt. Puts a lot in, like, cause I am a big fan of salt. I like it. I put it in my soup. He puts it in, they're like, that's so unhealthy. He's like, I don't care. It's my first time eating ramen. I ain't gonna eat it all the time. You ain't living if you ain't trying. If you ain't trying, you ain't living. So then he goes, whatever. I really don't care. So when he eats, he's like, he's like, I am eating this stuff every day, but without the salt, because I know Sakura's gonna go all Karen mode and tell me that I can't eat that. And she says, what? And he says, oh, calm down. Calm down, fangirl. I was just stating facts. And he goes, shoot, I shouldn't have said that. Whatever, I'm going. Thanks for guys. Eats a soup in the middle of the second and just runs out and says, thanks. Who's covering the bill? I'm not. I'm out. They say, who's covering the bill? Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Yamato, and Sai finish up their food and dip. They're like, you open pan, Kakashi? He's like, he pulls open his wallet. He's like, he says, well, since that was that kid's first time in ramen and he actually liked it, I'll cut the bill in half. I'll cut the bill. I'll take off his pay. Since that's someone's first time eating at Ichiraku, I do a sale every time someone first eats ramen. They are allowed a free bowl. He says, thank you, Teiichi. You made my life easier. So how much is it? He says, about 500 Rio. He says, But then he sees something under the slip. He says, here you go, Kakashi-sensei. Christian gave him about 500 Rio to pay for it. He's like, wow. I thought he actually just left without paying. Whatever. Basically, he's like, well, thanks. And say, my students alright. Those are my students alright. My students would be the only ones to do dumb stuff like that. Christian would just be training with Shiden! But one day, Pain would say, looks like it's time we go after the Nine Tails. Don't you think? One day, Christian and Naruto would be training. Then he says, hey, how about this, Naruto? Shadow Clone Jutsu. One adding the dark element, the other one training into a shape, saying, Great Rasen Ring! Naruto says, Wind Style Rasen Shuriken! Then they clash a giant explosion. Like a giant one. They're both standing in a crater, laughing it off. Then Sakura, in her Karen-y self, runs over and says, you idiots, you're about to destroy something. Slapping both, because it's Sakura. She's a goddamn Karen. She's gonna be a Karen when she's older. She's not as bad as she is in Shippuden and Boruto. Honestly, I hate to say this, but I actually like Sakura in Boruto. She's not even that bad. Except one of my favorite moments for Sakura this is my only favorite moment, was when Sakura just punched down Shin and said, "Cha, damn you!" That was hilarious. I laughed my head off on that. Some grown woman punching some guy without teeth in the stomach, going, "Cha, damn you to hell!" I died with that. That was funny AF. So basically, the next part would be so when Pain would, she'd say, "Lady Tsunade needs to talk to you." So they'd walk in and say, "So, Lady Tsunade, say, Granny Tsunade, what's up?" And they say, and she says, and Geezer Sage says, "Jiraiya boy has perished," and they both just fall into a depression. They're like, "Well, you have to be joking. This can't be real. You must be lying." They say, "It's the truth, Naruto." After that, they both go into a deep depression, not even talking to each other. Christian saying, "I will avenge you, pervy sage." Then he says, Naruto. Then they say, after both being depressed for a day, all the Konoha 10, since like those two are depressed, are trying to get them back into fighting spirit. But they will just not. Naruto finally gives in to Haruka. Christian will not get in. He knew Jiraiya since he was 4. He's not gonna let up that easily. He's not gonna simp for some random person. Then finally but then someone comes. Hate to say this, but I'm kidding, it ain't gonna be Sakura enough to that. It's Kakashi would walk to his house and talk to him about how Jiraiya-sensei and Minato-sensei would not want you to get revenge. They want you to stick to the path of peace. And finally snaps out of his trance and says, "Alright, I'm gonna go help Naruto learn Sage Mode so we can take this guy down." He says, he says, "I will avenge you, pervy sage." He says, "Didn't I just tell you not to talk about revenge?" He says, "I don't care. Really, nothing's gonna change my mind from avenging pervy sage." He says, "You really are hopeless, aren't you?" So he would help Naruto look at Sage Mode, perfect Sage Mode, so then he can meditate. Basically, when pain attacks, Christian would be like, "Give me Sage Mode!" And then he'd say, "Rasen Ring!" Absolutely bodying him. Killing him, actually. I'm just gonna say that everything goes... Christian would actually body him, because I really don't like the pain arc. It's pretty boring. So he would absolutely body him. Taco wouldn't be assembled and all that crap. Oh yeah, and also when pain attacks, Naruto wouldn't go into his 6 tails form because Christian would be there. And yeah, that's all. And that